Hello and welcome to the Daily Millwall for Tuesday the 28th of May 2024. And today's Millwall news, very thin on the ground, very thin on the ground. But we will make a video out of nothing. We will make a silk purse out of a pig's ear. So here we go. Some news. Haha. Matija Sarkic has been named in the Montenegro squad for the international games coming up ahead of the Euros these are just friendlies, against Belgium and Georgia. So there you go. I'm pretty sure Montenegro didn't qualify for the main competition. But yeah, we're still waiting for the Wales squad. Will Bradshaw be in it? Will he not? I don't think so. It's looking unlikely. There's a few youngsters coming through who might be given the chance to come into the squad and see what they can do. But we have to wait and see for that. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why they're waiting so long. But yeah, Matija Sarkic is in the Montenegro squad for 2 games coming up next week. Now, moving on to this. This is from oddschecker.com. This is the odds to win the championship for next season. Yeah, we've already got odds for winning the league next season. We have odds for winning the league and to be promoted, but not for relegation. That hasn't come up yet. So to win the league, this is how it goes. We got Leeds, Burnley, Luton, Middlesbrough, West Brom. So there's a massive drop there. There's quite a big difference there. There's 4 points. Burnley 8-1, Luton 12-1. So they seem to think Leeds and Burnley are a cut above everyone else, which I don't think they are that much, especially seeing what happens. I think they might be probably trying to get some money in on Leeds quickly, because maybe some punters out there don't know that Leeds are going to have to sell some players and they might not be winning the league. And then the bookies can just take everyone's money, saying, look, Leeds are the favourite. Look how good they are, and they'll take the money and then just run as Leeds finish in the playoffs and lose again. So, we're in Millwall. This is a Millwall channel. We're in Millwall. Millwall 33-1. 33-1. So, we're just below halfway. The favourites to go down. Well, this isn't a relegation, but you can infer from the list. These are the teams. The prices to win the league, and it's each way terms for 1, 2, 3. Not 1, 2 and playoff winner, 1, 2, 3. So, these are the teams I think are going to do really badly. They've got Oxford, cut above. They got if they lose Josh Murphy, I think they're going to struggle big time. Plymouth Argyle, and then again there's a big gap. So it's like those two are going to be cut adrift. But obviously, this is all on paper. We haven't even got some clubs release lists yet. We don't know who's signed who. It's all very early. But you can see what we can see. This is what does this mean? Does it mean anything? I don't know. But there you go. And then see, you have some clubs kind of on the same price because the bookies don't really know what to do with them. So they just make up a number, and you can see here Millwall 33-1 at Bet365 and at BetVictor. Shorter at the other places that are offering odds, Skybet, William Hill. Please bet responsibly. This is an advert for you to bet. I'm just showing you what the bookies are thinking about how Millwall are going to do next season before anyone's signed anyone. With 33-1 along with Bristol City, Derby County, Swansea City, and Portsmouth. So there you go, just below halfway. Now moving on to this, it's so thin regarding news about Millwall that Southwark News have gone on to Millwall's podcast that Millwall do, the Walltalk Podcast from in-house from Millwall. The latest one is with David Livermore, and we're still waiting for the Adam Barrett one. Maybe if he goes on there, I don't know, has he done one yet? Maybe he should do one. And but David Livermore, here he is, and they've taken quotes from that to make a story out of it because there's nothing on. So let's have a read of this anyway. So, I wanted to sue. Millwall's David Livermore reveals how bizarre medical mix-up ruined his chances of a move to Southampton. The Lions' assistant manager has been reflecting on his playing career. David Livermore has revealed how a strange case of mistaken identity ruined his chances of a move to Southampton during his playing career. The former Millwall midfielder, who's back in the Den dugout as assistant to Neil Harris, was ready for a move away from the Lions during the mid-noughties. Livermore had struggled with a knee issue since his teenage years, but was surprised when he was told by a specialist that he had ruptured his ACL after a scan ahead of a potential move to Southampton. Livermore had gone in for the scan directly after a youth player who did have a serious cruciate injury, and a mix-up in their files saw him fail his medical at St Mary's. He told Mill's Walltalk Podcast, "Well, I go to see a specialist, he reads the report, he gets me on the bed, he has a little fiddle with my knee and goes, 'You've ruptured your ACL.' And I'd injured my knee back in the late 90s before I came to Millwall, but I didn't agree with it. I failed the medical and they tried to change the deal to a pay-as-you-play contract, which I wasn't going to accept. I wonder if it was his right knee, because I don't know if you're old enough to ever seen David Livermore play. Incredibly one-footed, like a ballerina. He was spinning around and using his left foot. Fantastic to watch. Never seen someone so one-footed. Especially being left-footed, you would think that people who are left-handed and left-footed kind of are being forced to use the right one because that's just how it goes in the modern world. But just incredibly left-footed. I wanted a second opinion, so I got the films from Southampton. I took them to Harley Street to see a doctor that will operate on Paul Gascoigne's knee. He got the films out, put them on the screen, and then circled my cruciate. He said they were fine. I got the second set of films out, and he said, "Oh, you've got a snap cruciate." Looked at the name on the top hand corner, and it was a youth team player. I wanted to sue. I lost out on a great opportunity to play for Southampton under Harry Redknapp because of someone's incompetence. Livermore retired from playing full-time earlier than many other players due to his persistent knee problem that saw him fail every medical I had in my career. He said, even here at Millwall, I was meant to sign a 3-year deal, and I had a medical, and it turned into a 3-month loan deal from Arsenal. But that was quickly turned into a 3-year contract after about a month. I had a couple of injuries to my knee when I was probably 16 or 17 over a period of time. It just got worse. So by the time I got to 28, I dropped down in the leagues, and I'd gone from playing most of my career in the Championship, slipped down to League One with Brighton, and I didn't have a good time there. I went on loan to Luton, on loan to Barnet, and by 2010 I was out of contract for the first time and needing an operation on my knee, and I'd fallen out of love with the game, to be honest with you. Livermore's coaching career began by taking over National League Histon in an unpaid player manager role, but they would be relegated during his time in charge. He then returned to Millwall to become a youth coach in 2012 before being promoted to assistant manager by Harris in 2015. So there you go. We've got one more as well. There's another. They got two on the same day. This is spun into two. So this is from southernnews.co.uk. I think, speaking to Livermore, obviously, 20 years ago, the FA Cup, 2004, Millwall won the FA Cup against Manchester United. To be honest with you, in my opinion, I know a lot of people holding up there as the pinnacle. In my opinion, kind of shit. It's kind of shit, to be honest with you. If I were to rank them, I would probably go. Well, actually, there's another one. I would go fourth for the fourth up at Sunderland, up at Old Trafford Sunderland game. That's the number one, because you've won the game. You're in the semi-final. You say, oh, if we win this, we're in the final. We're in the final. And it's the anticipation of the event. After you've done it, you've got like a month and a half to wait, and that was just winning that game at that moment was just fantastic. The final itself, up against some very international quality players, Manchester United quality team under Sir Alex, just got steamrolled, didn't we? There was some weirdness in terms of the team selection, the way we played, just didn't have a go. So, and then I would probably put second would probably be the Auto Windscreen Shield. That's the second best game that I've been to, or main game, major game. Just having so many Millwall fans there against Wigan, even though we lost the game, it was fantastic. I think after the game, I probably wouldn't have said that, but as time has gone by and the old Wembley was knocked down, and the new one they built in, I think it's gone up there. Like, I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted after we lost that game. But now looking back on it, hindsight, that would be number 2, and then third, I was gonna say this FA Cup final, but now I'm thinking probably the Championship, the playoff final that we actually won, the one under Harris, the Steve Morrison one. I would probably put that there, to be honest. So yeah, like 20 years ago, FA Cup final, Millwall were in it first time and last time since then. So yeah, so they're talking about it. That's why they had Livermore on, I think, to talk about it. So here we go. So this is also from southernnews.co.uk. Roy Keane didn't have a bead of sweat on him. Millwall assistant boss recalls the FA Cup final against Manchester United. Nobody expected the Lions to make it to the Millennium Stadium in 2004, but once they did, a daunting challenge awaited them. That was another reason for it not being up there, because it was in a foreign country. It was in Wales. Yeah. It wasn't at Old Trafford. It wasn't at Villa Park. It wasn't at wherever they could have put it in England. They moved it to Cardiff, and it just wasn't the same. David Livermore said Roy Keane was left without a bead of sweat in Manchester United's 3-0 win over Millwall in the 2004 FA Cup final. The 20th anniversary of the game last week with Livermore, who made 302 appearances for the Lions, sat in midfield that day alongside player manager Dennis Wise. The Lions had pulled off the surprise by getting to the final at all, and they headed to Cardiff looking to engineer one of the biggest shocks in FA Cup history. After they initially managed to frustrate Sir Alex Ferguson's side, Cristiano Ronaldo broke the deadlock just before half-time before 2 goals by Ruud van Nistelrooy. Remember him? In the second half, killed the game. Livermore, who returned to his post as assistant manager to Neil Harris in February, admits that the golfing quality was too much to handle. He told the Walltalk Podcast, available on Apple and Spotify. The semi-final was our final. We went back to the Millennium Stadium wanting to win, of course we did. But we knew on the day, at the back of your head, you don't want to admit it, but you know you're going to have your best game ever, and they're going to have their worst game ever. Asked if United had to get out of second gear, Livermore said, in my opinion, nah, Roy Keane didn't have a bead of sweat on him. You can feel the levels, we're sort of hanging on, and they're in second gear. We were unfortunate as we went there and we only had one centre forward at the time, after Danny Dichio got sent off in the build-up to the final. Who's that? Can you remember who that was? I'll give you the answer in 5 seconds. Mark McCammon. Remember him? So we had to go up top with a gaffer, Harris leading the line. I think it was 44 minutes before they scored. We started to frustrate them. You could sense they were getting frustrated. If we could have made it to half-time at 0-0, who knows? But then the young Cristiano Ronaldo scored before half-time. He was so good, it was a joke. He was 18 at the time, and he was half the player he ended up being, and was levels and levels above everyone else on the pitch. Yeah, it gave old Robbie Ryan a right old time, didn't he? The day wasn't all bad for Livermore, though, as he managed to fend off teammate Paul Weifel in a fight for Keane's shirt after the game. He added, I've got your shirt at home. Me and Paul Weifel both went up to Roy Keane after the game and asked for his shirt, and he promised it to both of us. I ended up getting it, and I got Nicky Butts. The good thing was that I flipped a coin for it, and I won, so it's got a place in my home. There you go. Like I said, very thin on the ground, not much news, but reminiscing about good times past. Will there be good times in the future? I don't know. And we're going to finish with this now. This is from the Argus.co.uk. This is a Brighton newspaper based down in Brighton and Hove. Why am I bringing you this? What has this got to do with Millwall? We'll find out soon. Brighton will almost certainly move away fans at the Amex. Yes, so the Amex, very, very, very new stadium, one of the newest in the land. But even then, with that newness, they still did something that not many clubs have done, and they're moving away from. They had an end behind the goal just for away fans. And we're going to read this story, or parts of it, and you're going to find that that's not the case anymore. Fewer and fewer clubs are doing that. So the days of away ends at football are all but over, especially in the higher divisions. Those two words are still used, but they usually refer to the away section, which tends to be a corner or down in one side of the pitch rather than an actual end behind the goal. Yeah, they're moving them into the corner or squeezing them into one of the sides. For two reasons. Obviously giving them a whole end if they're not going to fill it, which they don't at Millwall. They don't fill the away end. To be honest, yeah, even if we could sell tickets to people who want, like Plymouth wanted more tickets, we wouldn't be allowed to. The police don't let us do it. The safety advisory group, whoever they are, won't let us do it. So it can't be done. Ironically, Albion, who had an away corner at the Goldstone when most others had ends, now have the last genuine away end in the Premier League. That's it. There's only one. There's only one away end in the whole Premier League. But that news may well change 15 months or so from now. Albion are looking to move the 3,000-seat away section from behind the goal in the south stand to a different area, which obviously be in one corner or a side arena of the Amex. The view is the current configuration gives an illusion of greater away support and takes away part of the home advantage. Such a move would put them in line with every other current Premier club and most in the Championship. Well, more on that later. What of Millwall? Well, we'll find out how many are in the Championship. Yes, away fans are technically behind the goal at Newcastle, but they are way, way up in the top tier, far from the pitch, and behind a huge chunk of home supporters. So even when you do have away fans behind the goal, they don't take up the whole end. They're like on the upper tier or on the lower tier, and there are home fans using the rest of the stadium, which is something that's been muted at Millwall to do. But that's going to be, again, safety. Nah. Other clubs offer visitors part of one end, such as Liverpool, Chelsea, Nottingham Forest, and Fulham. Sheffield United had an away end, with visitors giving the lower tier and generally having a ball there, but they have now departed. So Southampton did have an away end, so they were a Premier League team, but now they've been relegated. It's just one. Brighton. Here we go. In the Championship, there are only 3 away ends at Millwall, QPR, and Preston. Again, that's the thing. Again, what we're missing out on. What we're not doing right. Everyone else is doing it. Should we be doing it? How can we do it? The club, the stadium's not set up for that. How can we do it safely? It's hard, isn't it? It's hard, but we're out of fashion now. This isn't what everyone else is doing. So here you go. So yeah, Millwall just one of 3 teams in the Championship that are doing this. And it says here, the chief executive of Brighton told them that from the 25-26 season, so they're not doing it next season. It's going to take them a whole nother season to do it and figure out how to get it done. There you go. So there you go. That's it. Millwall just one of 3 teams with an away end. And obviously, recently results have been picking up, but before that, we was suffering at home, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun to have a massive amount of away fans there cheering all those goals that were being scored against us. So yeah, if we can, when we fill in the corners, will we have an away corner? Is that how it's going to be? We'll wait and see. Obviously, at the moment, we've got all these things going on. and nothing's really moving forward. We've apparently had a bid accepted for Tantanga. We've got permission to we've got the lease, 999 year lease, but then we need to get planning permission for building up the stadium and making the changes that will take away the away end. And we've got the planning permission for the training ground, and nothing's happening with that. So we wait and see, and hope that things start moving forward. And on that note, thank you for watching, and goodbye.